Hey everyone, what's up? It's me, Troy, and welcome to Bada Boom. Today, I want to talk to you about the new animated Spider-Man TV series that's now on Disney Plus called Your Friendly Neighborhood Spider-Man. And to be honest, when I first saw this trailer for this show, I was like, do we need another animated Spider-Man show? And that's weird because who am I to turn down Spider-Man content? Yeah, I think there's been some stuff in the past that didn't turn out that well, but honestly, like that's maybe like 1 out of 10. And Spider-Man is like the world's favorite superhero. Yeah, everyone may say, it's Batman, it's Superman, or maybe even now Iron Man. But historically, Spider-Man sells the most toys and the most comics. So Spider-Man, if we get more content, I should be happy. And I wasn't happy at first about it because the animation style, I kind of just wasn't really feeling it. It looked kind of like X-Men 97, which that turned out to be great, but I remember watching the trailers and being like, this feels a little weird. And even during the first episode, there were times where I was like, this is really throwing me off. People's like jawlines aren't drawn right, the shading for like the shadows are feels kind of weird. But that was just like in the first 5 minutes. After that, I got wrapped up in the story and I kind of forgot about all that. Even diving into the second episode, watching them back to back, I completely forgot about what I considered flaws or imperfections inside of the animation. And I think that's what good storytelling does. You get wrapped up in what your characters are doing and you forget if there is anything that was distracting. So even if at first I thought, animation isn't really there, the story definitely is there. So first off, we're now going to dive into spoilers. If you haven't watched it, turn it off. Go watch the first 2 episodes unless you want to get it spoiled. So you may think we're going to get this whole origin story of Peter Parker, and we're not actually. And I'm really glad we didn't get it. And this also isn't taking place inside the MCU canon. It's kind of like an alternative timeline. So there are a lot of references to the MCU and what we've seen in live action, but this isn't going to be it, which I really like because I think it's going to be a fun way to introduce characters in a kind of separate timeline. And when they make their way into the main MCU, that'll be pretty fun. More on that later. But first off, we don't even get a Spider Man origin story, really. We do get some hints at Uncle Ben passing, which we didn't see in the MCU at all. And I think Tobey Maguire pretty much brought that home. We know the story of how Uncle Ben died, so I'm glad we didn't see it here. But I honestly wouldn't mind if we got some flashbacks to it in this series or in the main MCU in the future. But none of that's here. We do get a really unique spider origin story. There's a portal that opens up, and a demon that looks like it's being possessed by Venom is fighting Doctor Strange. It's Peter's first day of school as Doctor Strange starts to defeat this monster with Peter throwing a book at it to distract it. He is knocked to the ground. Doctor Strange saves him. They go back into the portal, but a spider crawls out of the portal, bites him, and then now he is, he's got the spider powers. There's also a great reference to a couple different characters in the first episode. We obviously know that Iron Man's a thing because there's a little Iron Man, little guy hanging in the dashboard of Aunt May's car. There's also, of course, Doctor Strange, this Venom looking character, and our best friend that Peter has in high school at the moment is Nico, which is also, I believe, like a magical character inside of the Marvel Universe. I play their card occasionally in Marvel Snap. So we're expanding this universe pretty fast already in the first episode, and we're not just tying it just straight to people we already have known inside of the MCU. So, first episode, it's kind of just Peter being Spider Man, figuring things out, and that's actually really cool and fun. Even the spot he gets on the subway or tries to get on the subway in Queens, it looks exactly like how it does in Queens. I used to live in Queens, and I'm pretty sure I know exactly which subway stop they're trying to like model it after. So it's really fun to kind of see those references in the show. And we get a really cool reference at the very end. Of course, Peter has just saved Harry Osborn, and he goes to his apartment and he's like, "Oh, there's a cool car outside," very much mimicking the scene when he meets Tony Stark. But instead of meeting Tony Stark, who does he meet? He meets Norman Osborn. And it's crazy that Norman Osborn just shows up in the first episode like that, because it's not a character that I thought we would get introduced right away. Yeah, we got Harry in the first episode as well, but it's just like this is a big player in Peter Parker's life. And it's just like, hey, here he is. And I feel like this would have been something that maybe they would have introduced in episode 4 or maybe 5, but we're diving head on into this. And so, diving straight into the second episode, we also get a lot of other crazy references to other characters as well. When Peter does start his internship after a day of being in high school and beating people up as Spider Man, he finds out that he has a couple of interns that are going to be helping him out, or he's going to be working with. And one of them is Amadeus Cho, which becomes a version of the Hulk in the comics. We also get an intern from Wakanda, and there's another intern named Jean, but I'm not sure exactly how she's going to fit into this. And who's going to be working with Peter the most? It is going to be Dr. Connors. No surprise there, but there was a really big hint that he was going to be working in robotics, and so I was really hoping it might end up being Dr. Octavius, which could still come in the future. We're only on episode 2. We'll have to see. There's a big fight that Peter has with a guy that has like flame gloves. He can like shoot flames out of the gloves. He's burning a building down. For a minute, I was hoping it was a Shocker. Maybe this guy will come back later as the Shocker. That would be pretty cool. But Peter takes him out, and he takes him out while dipping out at his internship. He goes back to his internship, and Norman wants to see him. And he's like, oh, crap, I messed up. I was late. He's like, confessing and apologizing for all these mistakes. And then Norman just turns his computer around and is like, oh, you're Spider-Man? Which we kind of already knew, because there were some trailers that dropped that showed that Norman knew he was going to be Spider-Man. And how is he going to do that? We don't know. I feel like he's going to use Peter as a tool to do certain different things that we know aren't going to work out well. But it is interesting to see just already in the first 2 episodes that Norman knows he's Spider-Man. No one else knows he's Spider-Man. His best friend Nico doesn't know he's Spider-Man. No one else in his high school, not even Aunt May, knows he is Spider-Man. So this is going to be a really interesting development moment in the series to see how Norman uses this information and what's going to come with it. In other versions of animated Spider-Man shows, there was one on Disney XD a long time ago that showed that even though Norman knew he was Spider-Man, or kind of knew of Spider-Man in some sense, he created Venom and then Carnage, and like we kind of got the symbiotes a little bit from Norman working with Peter or Octavius, messing with blood samples of Peter. So we could go down that route again. I'd rather us not, because we already got the Venom thing dropping from the sky, so it could be something completely different. But I hope we get some really good moments with Norman and Harry, kind of, seeing that father-son relationship and what that's like, because it's kind of a sad father-son relationship overall. But what I really think this series has done is it's really hit the nail on the head of what it's like to be Peter Parker. Peter is always just trying to do the right thing, and he doesn't make excuses or lie about why he is coming short in being on time or being there for people. He just apologizes because he knows he can't say anything. And it would be so easy to lie, but he's just trying to do the right thing, and he knows like lying isn't the right thing. So whenever he's fighting bad guys, or he's late to school, or he ends up standing up some of his friends, like he just wants to do better and be able to do everything he can. And I remember watching animated versions of Spider-Man, reading the comics, and I think that's what really makes Peter Parker a character that we want to be and we relate to. Because at some point in our lives, we always just wanted to do the right thing, and we wanted to be able to make everybody happy. And sometimes we just realize we can't do that. And the thing that I think really makes Peter Parker, is he doesn't give up. He doesn't stop. There's that big quote from Spider-Man that, no matter how many times you get hit, you've got to back up and keep fighting and, always be standing. And even in this, that's what he's doing. And it's in a small way, but every time he messes up, he's not wallowing in self pity or doubt or being sad about it. He's like, okay, well, what can I do next? What can I do this? He's not giving up on his friends. He's not giving up on his internship. He's not giving up on May or being Spider Man. He's trying to do all of it. And when it gets tough, he's not quitting or giving up on anything. And I think that that is a subtle quality that they've already emphasized in the first two episodes that is a quality that we just love about Spider-Man. So, my first thoughts of these first two episodes going in, it was pretty low, but I feel like they've definitely made me do a 180. And I think this is going to be a pretty good series. It's going to be a different and unique series. You know, we're going to see different things introduced similarly to how they were in the MCU, but we're going to have some cool aspects like how we did with Norman Osborn being introduced. So the second we think this show is going to be familiar or it looks familiar, get ready for a huge 180 or a different character to come in and have it be completely different. But what did you guys think? Did you watch the first two episodes of Your Friendly Neighborhood Spider-Man? Did you like them? Let us know in the comments below, and don't forget to like and subscribe. And with that, bada boom!